Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, episode 22, counter surfing and food stealing. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Stopping the habit at its source. So, unmuting that one. All right, we'll try this. So today we are talking about counter surfing and the age-old, the dog ate the steak and ran off with it. Right, as you're getting ready to go out for a grilling extravaganza, and the dog runs off with your food, and you're like, oh, here we go.
I've even seen the ones where they eat the steak and they like turn around and they're like, where did it go? And the dog's already gone.
Right, gone.
It's already swallowed it too. So it's like, I don't know.
Not getting that one back. So the this week has been crazy, and so I have no crazy statistics or crazy announcements for you tonight. We're gonna jump right into it. I do have the for the people that are dialed in and joined on the Zoom call, I've got the chat window open. So if you have questions throughout the time, if there's something that's popped up but you don't want to like interrupt, just go ahead and throw something into the chat and I'll try to answer it on the fly. And then if I think we're gonna open it up for questions and story time somewhere in the middle of this. This one can in the right frame of mind can be a funny subject matter,
right? If you're
because
past it, it's funny.
Yeah, not at the moment,
right?
But afterwards, everybody's got a good story of when they turned around and their dog made out with their with the steak.
Yep, all of those stories,
or I don't know, the burgers or whatever,
something.
Tacos.
Yeah, anything.
I'm out of here. That for sure would be one of our dogs. But then not the other.
Yep.
But here we go. Yeah, go ahead and shake your head at me. Like you want to get started. Counter surfing and food stealing are a learned behavior. But it's one of those behaviors that gets reinforced instantaneously, real quick, because it's self-rewarding. So it's driven by opportunity, and it has one of those immediate payoffs. So as soon as the dog does it once, they're like, oh, that was awesome. Yeah. I'm for sure going to wait to do that again.
Yeah.
So dogs steal food because it works. And ending the behavior requires both removal of the reinforcement event as well as controlling access, and then teaching kind of those calm alternatives instead of relying on like a late correction, which is usually yelling and screaming at the dog as it runs off with your steak.
Right, because you don't usually catch them in the moment, and sometimes you're even later than that.
Right,
like
because if you did, you probably would have just put your hand out and like prevented it from happening. But that's usually the problem, is that you're not fast enough.
Yeah, usually there's too much distance involved there.
Right. So we'll jump right into it.
Yep.
Will you jump right into it? I'm trying to fix this chat window here.
Yeah. So our major point number 1 is going to be why dogs countersurf and steal food, which we've already kind of gone over, right? It's shaped by success and repetition. So most of the time when you have a dog that ends up stealing something off the counter the very first time, they pretty much learn immediately that they can keep doing it. It's not that difficult, and there's a lot of cool stuff up there on the counter that they can't see all the time.
Yeah.
Dogs that jump immediately kind of go to jumping on the counter. And so some of
And
those
that's
things,
a learned behavior too, by
Right.
the way.
Yeah.
Like, just to call it what it is,
Right.
right? Dogs don't learn to stand on their rear paws just
Yeah.
by themselves just because they balanced on it and it was cool.
Right.
They learned it because of something.
Yep.
And that was either to get access to pets and hands and get closer to a person when they first started jumping, or to climb or to try to get closer to something that they wanted.
Right. And when it comes to counter surfing specifically, like dogs are naturally like scavengers, right? They're born to just hunt and find their food. And so with that comes like a strong food motivation. That's why when we work with dogs, we always tell people, cool, we are going to use treats and food primarily to teach behaviors, because it's the number one way that dogs learn. Now, there's some dogs out there that aren't really food motivated. You guys probably aren't going to have a problem with counter surfing unless you keep their toys or something that they really enjoy up there. They watch you put it up there, right? And it's like, oh, I see where it is. I'm going to get that.
So I want to also bring attention to the other side of counter surfing, which is it's not all about food.
Right.
Right. It's about whatever they find valuable. So
Right, like toys and
right.
stuff.
So what you're talking about is a dog who's not food motivated. They might not steal your food, but a dog that finds something of value. Maybe they find they see a pill bottle or something that they see you interact with on a daily basis. They have already determined, because they've seen it over and over, they've determined that thing is valuable.
Right.
And then maybe they determine that if they were to take ownership of that thing, you would be very interested.
Right. And so
And
that's
so they
where,
do it out of engagement.
Yep. That is another big one for why dogs do it, for sure. Because if you raise a big scene because your dog stole something off the counter,
Right.
then they're like, well, that was kind of exciting.
Yeah. So we've had a client deal with this with eyeglasses, where the dog, it wasn't really counter surfing, but it was couch surfing. It was side table surfing. The
Right.
dog would
Like
even
the
jump up on
mantle?
like the mantle of the
Yeah.
fireplace, or it was a little dog,
Yeah.
and would be able to jump up there in order to get it, because it would immediately incite violence,
a riot,
in the house, and it was like, you get back here,
Yeah.
and that was fun.
Yeah.
That was really exciting.
And so moving on to that, it's like inconsistent management a lot of the times teaches the dog that they can steal when you're not around,
Right.
because then there's basically no punishment. And if there is, it's so delayed that they're not connecting the punishment of whatever you're doing, yelling, telling them to get in their crate, kennel, whatever, to them stealing off the counter. It's the same way that we talk about if your dog has an accident inside while you're gone and you come back and punish them for it by yelling at them, putting them in their crate, whatever it is. The dog's not relating that punishment to them going to the bathroom on the floor an hour ago or whatever it was.
And dogs are naturally going to find and identify easy access points, whether that's food or toys or whatever it is. Whatever is easy. I mean, it's just like in the mammals, like second nature is to be lazy.
Right. And every time they get it,
this is fun.
This
win.
This
is easy. Right. It's easy access, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Just like barking,
through
when we talk about
multiple
barking.
things, through multiple pathways, I guess is what I'm trying to draw attention to. It's not just rewarding to the dog because they got something cool or potentially tasty. They also got a huge reaction out of you.
Right.
And the more that you build that value in you, the more they get your attention, the better in their mind.
Yeah. So that self-rewarding, just like we talk about with barking and things like that, instantly kind of strengthens and creates that habit for the long term. So then you kind of have some backpedaling to do as soon as the first instance sort of happens. Which brings us to major point number 2. Or are you ready?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. About how corrections. Corrections are usually late in this frame, and they don't really fix the problem because they're just following. You're just in a reactionary frame of mind.
Right, because inevitably the dog learns to do it all the time when you're not around. Because if you are going to punish the dog right then and there, then they're going to learn to do it if they can when you're just not there. And so then it becomes this sneaky thing where it's like, well, I only took my eyes off of them for 2 seconds and they ran in there. Or, well, I was, in the bathroom and they went into the kitchen and I just I can't have them next to me all the time. Right. And that's where it comes down to, cool. But we always advocate for if you can't keep your eyes on your dog, they've got to be somewhere.
You need a management strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a management strategy. So I don't want to jump ahead too much. So let's still frame the problem. But a management strategy is going to help you avoid that whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've kind of determined, and just by this layout, we're kind of cruising through this, but most corrections, pretty much everyone who's dealing with this issue before they really get involved and treat it as a dog training issue, they're almost always just chasing the problem.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's a very natural thing to chase your steak as it exits the house.
And I think a lot of times I feel like a lot of the times owners fix it themselves by just going, well, I'm just never going to leave anything out on the counter.
Right. And that is a management strategy.
That's the management strategy that most people go with. But then every once in a while they go, oh, dang it, I left that out and they destroyed it. I did that. And then it's like they put it on themselves, which to be fair, cool. If you want your dog to free roam and do all the things and you're going to take responsibility for every now and then forgetting something and your dog takes advantage of it, then cool. I have no problem with it if you have no problem with it. Yeah. That's where we always come down to your house is your house and your dog is your dog and you get to treat it however you want.
Right.
But if it becomes a problem where you're like, I need this fixed, then there's several strategies that we can kind of go with.
Right. And
other than putting all your stuff away.
Right. And the more that you make it a negative situation for the dog, the more that the dog kind of adapts to stealing the things quietly and secretively.
Right. And then it's even harder.
And they get faster because they learn.
Right. That's where they're vacuuming the whole steak down and they don't even chew it. And it's like, oh my goodness.
That's also a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Is because most dogs would go and take it into the corner and then kind of chew on it and work through it. The dogs that gulp it down real fast.
They know they're about to get it taken. They're like, I'm not supposed to have this.
I know. I gotta eat it.
I gotta eat it now. Hurry.
So true.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Right. Hold on. Who even knows? Who even knows?
But when it comes back down to we talk about the yelling and getting upset at your dog, right? And that just drawing attention back to it, because we always say negative attention is still attention to a dog. And at no point does it matter whether you're upset or not. The dog thinks that it's fun and exciting and that they got your attention somehow.
Yeah. Whether
they wanted the item off the counter or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it just puts you at odds with your dog.
Yeah.
And your dog's like, I'm going to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, you get the next version of owners that are like, oh, they're being sneaky about it. Oh, it's cute. Oh, it's funny. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And then that just continues to ramp up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about yelling. The next one to talk about is inconsistency, right? With with our consequences. Sometimes we, so this is where it kind of goes into what I was just talking about, where there's sometimes when people like laugh about it. Some people are like, oh my gosh, they came out of nowhere, or they did something and it was like cute. It was funny. Well, now there's a time or two that is happening and the dog's not getting corrected for it, or the dog's not getting the same negative reinforcement. And it only takes an inch to then want to squeeze it out a mile.
Yeah.
And then the dog's like, this is inconsistent. I'm going to keep doing this.
Right, because if sometimes you get upset and you put them in their kennel, or sometimes you get upset and, I don't know, just yell at them, or the next time you just don't do anything because whatever they got into like wasn't important, then you're just telling the dog like, yeah, it's okay. Oh, nope, it's not okay. And the dog doesn't understand whether the item they stole is okay or not okay, or whether them jumping up on the counter was okay or not okay.
Yeah.
So there's always the differences of that as well.
And then the punishment is, I'm trying to think of how I can say it. So punishment we can go down a couple of different roads with punishment, but the congruency behind punishment is really, really important. I don't think that you can ethically punish your dog inconsistently. And so, and I was trying to think of how I can say that. Punishing your dog by, yelling at them in this instance, and then by throwing something at them in this instance, and then by grabbing them and trying to wrestle things out of their mouth in this instance, creates confusion. It's not consistent, and it doesn't create clear communication. And so what we want to do is we want to really create some significant management that can lead to clear communication and defined like consequence.
Right, and setting your dog up for success. Because if you're just going to let your dog free roam and leave a steak on the counter and think that your dog's just going to have the self-control to be like, no, I'm not supposed to eat that. They don't think that way. They're not in any way, shape, or form going, I don't actually want that steak on the counter. It's fine. I don't need that. I don't want it.
Right. Yeah, it's a losing strategy to set your dog up with some of the most exciting or most rewarding things that they could have in their mind, and then be like, we're going to train for you to not choose those things. That usually loses.
Yeah.
So we'll jump into management here in just a second. What I want to do is I want to just take a moment and open it up for anybody who has had a experience like that. What types of, so we've talked about food, we talked about toys, we talked about the eyeglasses, or just other things that people have found, or not people, but dogs have found important. What are some things that any of you listening have dealt with? Does anybody want to share?
Hey, this is Jenny with Cash.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, we're struggling with toilet paper, whether it's on the roll, in the toilet, on a counter, in a basket, a trash can. He just seems to really love toilet paper, used or clean, whether we're using it to blow our nose or just, and I'm pretty sure you can hear him in his crate right now, but we're really struggling on toilet paper.
Okay. And that's just something that he like steals and helps himself to around the house.
Yeah, he eats it. He takes it in the backyard. We've tried the treat, trying to find something with a higher value, but whether it's clean or used for makeup wipe off for the kids, he just loves it.
Right, because at that point you're trying to trade him, and he's like, "Well, no, what I have must be valuable.
It's way better, and it's just Charmin. It's not like it's anything with fragrance." Like,
nice.
Sorry.
We found tampons, kitchen utensils.
Yeah, the randomest things. He never takes our food off the counter. It is
One time.
yeah, like one time he did, but really it's more paper products.
Okay.
Interesting.
We thought that was pretty interesting because we do like a lot of ground beef and chickens and dinners and stuff. No issue. But toiletry is our big thing.
Right. Didn't you say that before he came to you that he was with college kids and they kept him in the bathroom a lot?
Yeah, so that's why we're thinking there's a correlation in regards to that, because that's maybe one thing he could always get his hands on.
Right. Yeah, and shred, and it's kind of like fun.
Right.
We just don't know how to keep it out of the way of him. We tried putting it underneath the sink, but he also knows how to open doors very well.
Right. The
Ooh,
door.
love
But I
that.
can't not keep toilet paper in the bathroom.
All right. Well, let's put a pin in that just temporarily, and we're gonna talk about some different management strategies, and then we can open it back up and be like, "Cool, did we give you any ideas?"
Yeah.
Or we can
perfect.
dial that in even a little more.
Cool.
Does anybody
Awesome.
else
I
have
appreciate it.
anything that they've dealt with? Toilet paper is a good one.
Yeah,
I like
that is
one.
a good one.
Hey guys, it's me, Fatima.
Hey, Fatima.
I don't. I already told you this story. So, with Bubba, he is super food driven. I had like, as I told you, some shrimp on the counter in the kitchen, and I walked away for like a few seconds, just a few seconds, and I come back, and he's already like jumped up, took the shrimp, put it down, and he was munching on it.
Nice.
And he was enjoying the heck out of that shrimp, and I was making it for dinner for friends.
Dang.
And I was so mad. I didn't even know what to do at that point, if I should laugh, scream at him. And he just sat there when he saw me looking at him and just stopped. Like, damn,
I got it.
know I'm caught.
It's like, what? I
But-
thought it was for both of us.
Right. So he's just super food driven. Like, even if I'm sitting down at the dining table and eating, he will just either jump up to try to sniff and take a bite, or sit there waiting for me to, like, he's looking at me like, Mom, could you just drop some food, like anything? But that was one of the encounters I had with him. I was devastated.
Oh, yeah. That's
Nice.
the moment where it's like, I'm just going to walk away.
Right.
I'm just going to
I
take a
had to
minute.
calm down. I had to calm
My
myself.
shrimp is expensive.
Right?
Shrimp is not a cheap one to steal.
No, it's not. I was like, you know how much this was? It was like $30, dude. You just
Right.
threw it down the drain. Now I
Ooh.
can't use it. But yeah, that was one of the encounters with him over the counter. He loves to jump up on there and look if there's food. But hopefully now with the training, he's doing better and not going into the kitchen as much.
Love
But
that.
he still has like those little moments where he doesn't, like, he sees me distracted for 1 second, then he runs, and I'm just like, no, and then he runs back.
He's like, oh, dang. She was
He's like,
quick.
Right.
it.
That was the
Right, the
getting
test of,
getting sneaky thing that I
Yep.
was talking about. Right. They're like, oh, they're watching. I'm gonna be sneaky.
Yeah.
And then they start being ornery.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think our Dutch Shepherd is one of the main offenders of like, oh, mom and dad aren't watching. I'm going to do something crazy.
Right.
He's
Yep.
like, oh, I'm going to go bother that dog. Or if we have the kids working with him, he's like, oh, I'm going to try to wrestle. And then we come out of nowhere and he's like, oh, my parents are here.
Oh gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Right. Right. Accountability has entered the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much him. But hopefully he gets out of that habit, because Lord, I do not want to be losing any more shrimp.
Well, we will talk about how to
All
hopefully
right.
stop
Thanks
that.
for sharing. Awesome. So let's jump into that. I'm gonna bring this guy back up.
Before we even touch on that, though, I want to mention like one more thing that we haven't even touched on that, I mean, I've seen videos of, is when you get a dog that counter surfs and you have the stoves with the knobs on the front, and dogs have accidentally turned those on.
Right.
And it's like caught things on fire. There's been like things on top of the stove, whatever you may have. But those are instances that people don't think of either, where it's like, that's a safety issue. It's not even, it
a good
doesn't even
point.
come down to like, oh, my dog ate something off the counter. It's like, oh, my dog set my house on fire.
Right.
You know?
That happened recently. There was
I don't know. I've seen
trying
a
to
lot
remember.
of different.
I just
I've
watched
seen
a
lot
video
of
recently
stuff.
where a dog accidentally caught something on fire.
Right,
and
there's a bunch of them right now with the batteries going around where the dogs. There was one with like an electric, like a heated glove, and the dog was chewing on the glove, and it had
Right.
the battery thing in it, and it
Yeah.
combusted and like caught on fire, and the dogs are all like, we got to get out of here.
Right.
But there are a lot of those instances that like we don't think of right off the bat. Like we talk about counter surfing and we're like, oh, well, it steals the steak off the counter. But there are definitely like safety issues that we, didn't touch on yet that can happen for sure if you're not, careful in managing.
Yeah.
The
No,
dog.
for sure. Okay, so let's jump into that. So, stopping the stealing part definitely requires like management, but it also requires clear alternatives. It's similar to in one of the ways we stop jumping is by teaching a dog a pattern or a behavior that is literally impossible for them to do that and jump at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. By teaching a behavior that's inversely, proportional to the issue that you're having, it's kind of a management strategy in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, let's hit the low hanging fruit or those really close targets first. Remove the food access.
Yeah.
And remove it from those counters and tables and things that the dogs can jump on. Keeping a close eye on things is great right up until you can't keep an eye on it.
Right.
And that's usually when these problems, inject themselves into your life. So how I would apply that concept to managing a dog who gets access to those things. I'm thinking of a solution. Sorry, and I said that wrong. Let me back up a second. How I would apply that to cash, specifically with a dog who is raiding the toilet paper, is, and this might be tricky.
Right, because you'd say
because
close the
he
door.
can close right because he can open the doors.
Yeah.
Right. Different waste baskets that are more difficult to get into.
Yep.
Right. Something with a top to it, or something that requires like actually using fingers and hands in order to open and then to deposit something into that wastebasket, can potentially, and I'm not trying to insult your intelligence whatsoever on this subject, but we're just going to talk about it in general with the easiest solutions and the hardest. Totally expect that you've worked through some of these things.
Right. And being able to open doors
being
is
able
like
to
unique.
open doors is tricky.
Yeah.
And there are things that replacing just popping out one of the hinges with a hinge that is spring loaded. You could,
baby safety, those little knobs that cover your doorknobs.
depending on the door, depending on the type of doorknob,
Yeah.
either replacing the doorknob with something that can't be opened as easy, or there are multiple child-proofing types of covers and things that can go on there. And then looking at the cabinets themselves, if it's something that can be opened, there are different types of cabinet hardware that ideally could be just unscrewed with one or two screws in the back and swapped out, or there are numerous child proofing type things that you can put those little clips, you like screw them into the inside of the cabinet, and then they create kind of like a little pressure switch you got to like reach your fingers in there and push down on in order to open up the cabinets. Little things like that can be one way that we can handle those things. Okay, so that's just removing access or controlling access to the actual items.
Yep.
Then the next thing is let's talk a impossible a differential behavior that is impossible or incongruent.
Mm-hmm.
So place is a great one. Place can be held either voluntarily or involuntarily with a dog. You can, when we're first training a dog to stay on place, we will use a tether. And we did a podcast with, we talked about tethered place, but we'll just hash it out real fast. Tethered place is where you take a place bed and you're in the process of teaching your dog to place, but you need accountability. So you put the dog on a leash, you tie said leash with a couple of feet of extra to spare so that the dog can, you tie the leash to something that's very heavy or immovable. Now the dog has a option of only going a couple of feet around the place bed. And what will inevitably happen is that you create a space where the place bed is the most comfortable and the most advantageous option for them. So they could lay down on the hard floor if they want to be obstinate, or they could lay on this nice place bed.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take very long for a dog to choose to, hey, I'm actually going to lay on this place bed. It's more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Then by them just making that decision, you start to build that in their head. And now they're like, I want to lay on this place bed rather than the floor.
Yeah.
Now you've increased the value of that place bed. And now we continue to like build value in that. It's not as simple as just do this, but we'll bring it up as this is a training method that we can use in order to hold our dogs accountable. This is the strategy that we use in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Our dogs, when a lot of times we let them run around and do whatever in the house, but at the point where they're not making appropriate decisions, well, now they're either going to place or they're going in a crate.
Mm-hmm.
And those are our two management strategies for our house. Yeah. If you're not going to make a responsible, mature decision and not, mess with your brother over there, well, then you're going to lay on your place bed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to hold you accountable through multiple different means, either through a tether, through a leash, through an e-collar, or at the end of all of that hierarchy, I'm going to put you in a crate.
Yeah.
Because you're not listening.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a lot of the times like what helps dogs is like, oh, well, I don't even get to be out if I don't like behave, right? They learn a level of respect where if you can't participate in how we're going to act, then you're going to go to your room, you know?
By the time I've told you 3 times to go back to your place.
Yeah. I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. You're going in a crate.
Yeah. I have stuff to do. Like I'm an adult. Like we have to move on. I can't just be like, no place, no place, no place.
Right. And I can do it very emotionless.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to get mad about it. I'm not going to waste my time with it.
Yeah.
I've asked you 3 times. You're not staying on your place. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Kennel.
Yeah.
And then they go to their kennel.
Right.
And you close the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move on with my day.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. There's no like, I don't set a timer. I don't set anything. They go in there until the next time in which I'm like, hey, I want to have my dogs out.
Yeah.
But there's no like, oh, well, I only put them in there for 20 minutes. Now they're going to go in there until I'm ready.
Yeah.
And it's not abuse. It's not mean. I'm not even giving them an attitude about it. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Right. And dogs being on place for however long isn't a problem for dogs. Like we will let our dogs out and not give them anything to do. And eventually they just end up going on their places because they're like, well, I don't know what else to do. But like misbehaving is not an option. So I'm just going to like go over here and lay down or take a nap or do whatever. And inevitably it's like we let the dogs out of their kennels. We put them on place and then they immediately like fall asleep. And to the point where it's like, cool, like that's their habit and their pattern that we've instilled in them is like, when you go to your place, you're going there to chill until I tell you to get up otherwise. So they just go there and they check out. They're like, cool, let me know when I'm done. And inevitably an hour or so later, however long it is until I'm done, doing my laptop work or whatever. And then we go outside and then usually we go into our kennels. So it's not a crazy like structure, but I'm telling them where to move and when to move. Yep. And that's what most people don't see it as. They're like, well, I have to do this, this, and this. You just have to guide your dog and tell them where you want them to go next.
Yep. All right. So the next one is let's teach the dog some impulse control behavior around the variable, whatever the variable is that they are trying to get.
Yeah.
In the case of our examples, it's food. In the case of Cash, that would be teaching him impulse control around toilet paper.
Yeah.
In the case of the eyeglasses, it would be we introduce those eyeglasses while a dog is on place, and I just handle the eyeglasses, or I have the dog in a down, and I work with the dog with sit and down while I'm holding the eyeglasses, or
right,
Jenny, in your case, while a roll of toilet paper is sitting on the counter.
Yeah.
And then it's in your hand. And then it's on the ground.
Yeah, right next to
And then it's on the, right, we introduce the that trigger progressively, starting way away, starting with distance, because that distance decreases the volume in that dog's mind.
Of the distraction,
Of the distraction. And then we slowly incorporate more and more distraction with that inciting variable.
Right. And the process of it isn't to be like, cool, he's not going to eat the toilet paper because he's in a down. It's teaching him that just because toilet paper is there doesn't mean that he gets to eat it.
Exactly.
So it's not always like, cool, if he goes after toilet paper, you tell him to lay down or something like that. It's just desensitizing dogs to the item that's there, right?
Very good. That's what that's what we were going for.
Cool.
Is we're not just training for the toilet paper. You're continuing to train, but with the presence of the variable that seems to
right, and that can apply to so many different things. It's like, cool, if your dog's barking at other dogs, you start at a distance and you bring the dogs closer, but you're working the dog through things and engaging with them through those triggers.
Yep. You know what time it is?
What time?
It's time for the science lesson.
Oh, goodness. I thought you didn't have one of those. You just didn't have updates. Oh,
my goodness. I didn't have an update.
Right. You have science.
Okay. Pull up your chairs. Quick science lesson. I have, the last 4 podcasts, I've done really good at getting a quick science lesson in. Okay. And the words have fallen on the floor.
Okay. All right.
Okay. This science lesson is on classical conditioning. I want to refresh and talk about classical condition with toilet paper. Okay. Classical conditioning is that concept that we have instilled or installed a reaction in a dog that is uncontrollable in the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we've related it to something either on purpose or accidentally. So classical conditioning, that concept of the dogs were salivating, the Ivan Pavlov experiment, the dogs were salivating because the food was presented. That salivating because the food was presented was never conditioned in the dogs. It just happened naturally. The dogs were they were like, oh, there's food. Okay, I'm going to, and they naturally salivated. But by ringing the bell, then giving the food, then ringing the bell, then giving the food, and doing that a few times, you started to condition the dog to the bell. Even though the bell before the experiment had nothing to do with the dogs, and the dogs were not conditioned to it. So the bell became the conditioned stimulus. And the conditioned response to that was the salivating. The dog can become, and in this case, talking about the exact issue, was this dog was potentially, allegedly, stored in and lived in a bathroom where it may have had access to toilet paper, and when it was stimulated to do anything, it had access to toilet paper. The toilet paper can become the bell.
Yeah.
And so now the dog sees the toilet paper and goes through a stimulus type response to the toilet paper, like, this is highly valuable to me. But really, initially, it was probably because it was something else.
Yeah.
But now it's been conditioned to reacting to the toilet paper.
Yep.
And I want to draw attention to the fact that the toilet paper and his response to the toilet paper is not a controlled response. He's not necessarily, if this is a classical conditioning issue, he has no control over it. This is something that gets built in and then the dog just reacts to.
Yeah.
This happens to the doorbells. This happens to the sound of the mailman coming to the door. This happens to all of these different things. Initially, there was no reaction, and now there is. So what I'm getting at is the way that we break down that concept is by getting the dog to start to relate the fact that there's toilet paper there and they're being held accountable to this other like set of stimulus.
Yeah.
Or this other concept. So I'm doing sit, I'm doing down, I'm doing crate, I'm doing all of these other things, and I'm giving food, and the toilet paper is right there and I'm not interacting with it. And we start to lower the value of the toilet paper.
Yeah.
There you go. Science lesson for the day.
Right.
Okay.
Very nice.
Where was I?
We're
Reward.
rewarding calm
Yes.
disengagement consistently.
There you go.
So that comes down to, right, you see the dog, walking by the counter with food on it. You can calmly reward that and catch the moments where they are doing a good job. And then you also have to ensure that stealing never pays off. Because just like we tell owners, if the dog pulls on a leash and gets to where it's going, you're 20 steps back. The same applies to stealing things. If the dog gets paid one time for stealing, they're going to do it again and again and again, and they're going to try harder each and every time.
Right.
And
that's that variable ratio reward schedule.
Right. And so
Science
a lot of
lesson
times
from like 2 or 3 things back.
I'll touch on like extreme circumstances real quick before we like move on to, I think, listener projects is next, which is crazy. But
We're cruising.
yeah. But one big thing I want to talk about is we always inevitably get the call or get to the point where the owner is like, well, they're only doing it when I'm not there.
Right.
What do I do, or how do I handle something if I'm not there? One, crate your dog, right? Put them in a crate when you're gone. And not only so that they don't steal something, right? It's a hazard to the dog. The dogs do not have the brain capacity or knowledge to know what is going to kill them and what is not. A dog sees a grape. Grapes are toxic. They're going to eat it. It doesn't matter. They don't know, just like a dog's going to eat something chocolate, right? They don't know that it's dangerous to them, and they don't care. They can consume it. They're going to. Even if it's inconsumable, they might try to consume it.
Toilet paper.
Right. And so, one, it's a danger to the dog. And two, I already touched on, like, it comes down to they could turn on your stove or anything else, or your water. They could flood your house. There's a lot of different things that we don't think about on the front end that can go horribly wrong by leaving our dogs out free. One, when they're not mature or responsible enough to handle so. And a lot of times, regardless of their age or maturity, like, it's just a safety hazard sometimes, most of the time. And so that's one of the main things. And then two, when it comes down to the ultimate like sneaky dog, we look at, and is this the most convenient for you? But no, it's not. And it can get kind of tricky, but you have to put the tools to work that you have available, and it's 2026.
And what are those tools?
So one, setting up a camera, whether that be your phone, an extra phone, a Ring camera. They sell cheap cameras on Amazon. I'm sure that you can just like set up on your counter, and using an e-collar. And I don't necessarily mean that you have to electronically stem your dog, which is not shocking them. It's a muscle stimulator. So a lot of times we go to e-collar, because if you can't be in the presence of your dog and your dog has learned that every time you leave, they have access to whatever it is, then there's nothing there to reinforce that. And so you have to be able to have vision of what the dog is doing. And you have to have the ability to hold the dog accountable without being present, which comes down to there's no option outside of an e-collar where you can hold a dog accountable without a collar or a leash on.
Right. And so what we're not going to be able to go into is all of the methods and ways that we can train a dog on an e-collar for tonight. However, an electronic collar, a remote collar, there are many, many, many different versions and things out there. And inevitably people immediately go right to, oh, you mean a shock collar? No, we mean a collar that you have a remote control to, and that you can somehow, one way or another, get your dog's attention and hold your dog accountable from a distance.
But also, if you buy a $20 e-collar off Amazon, it is going to shock your dog. So don't do that.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Don't buy your $20.
If you need a recommendation, we can give you some, but it is not going to be the $20 ones off Amazon, because nobody that is a trainer or in that category is going to trust one of those devices.
Nope. I prefer equipment that your dog can that your dog responds to that is so low that I can't even feel it.
Right. We put e-collars on ourselves and owners when we talk about e-collars.
100%.
But just because you put an e-collar on your dog does not mean also that you have to use the e-stim setting. With the collars that we use, there's a tone setting. Some dogs don't like it. And there's also a vibrate setting, which is really, really popular among owners that are like, well, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So vibrate is also an option that dogs are highly responsive to a lot of the times.
The concept is simply that you can reach out and touch your dog from a distance. Right. The same concept as being able to put a leash on them and it goes 50 feet into the other room.
Yeah.
And then you have a video camera. It'd be the same concept, except you're like thinking through the logistics here. And you're like, well, that would never work.
Exactly.
50 feet away where you have a camera in your your kitchen, and when the dog jumps up on the counter, you can give them leash pressure and say no.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we're doing with a leash, with an e-collar.
Right. But dogs are smart enough to where eventually they're not going to do it with you standing right there. Right. So then you have to move on and you have to outsmart the dog.
And that's why we're talking about the super sneaky dog.
Yeah. And it's not every dog. I mean, Dexter's almost 2, and 1, he's never even had human food outside of, I've now given him one blueberry that he dissected and a strawberry that he loved. So I will every now and then cut something up for myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna give these to the dogs to try. But he's always like, this is really weird. I don't know what this is. This is not dog food. No. But he's the height of our counters, right? And he is never like, I'm gonna jump up and try to get that, because
he's never been able to.
Right. He's never been able to. And not even one time. If you've never tried steak, you're not gonna be like, well, that's delicious. Right. He doesn't know what it tastes like.
Yeah. He smells it.
Yeah. He'll put his nose up there.
His nose up there and be like, oh, something smells good.
There's something up there.
But that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Because he's never been able to learn that behavior.
Yep.
All right. Right. And then there's other dogs we haven't been as successful with because, they when when I
I
say
have no idea what
sorry.
you're talking about.
No. Yeah. You're right. And there's other are like I got nothing.
Your words fell.
I know
again.
they fell out and
Jeez
they
Louise.
fell on the floor. The other dogs. So we have 4 dogs. Let me just jump into this one. So we have 4 dogs, and Dexter is the one that has never like tasted human food, so we don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Well, we have other dogs that have tasted human food, and they're like, "Hey, I want up there." So like our little Frenchie, she'll like climb your leg and be like,
She's like, hey, what do you
"Hey,
want?
what do you got there?
What is
I
that?"
want it.
Yeah.
I want some of that." Right. That's all I was getting at.
Right. And then also Nala before has had eggs, which we didn't know, but every time we crack an
I
egg,
did
she
not
like
know
comes
that.
around the corner and it's like, what are you
Right.
looking at? And it's like, oh, right, I have eggs.
Because she used to get
Right.
fed
We've never given her
like,
eggs, but she
raw
used
eggs.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. They would crack an egg and
In
give
her
it
food.
to her.
Yeah. And so
And so she
now
hears
she
the
hears the egg.
eggs and she's like right there.
Right. It's been like so many years since she's had eggs, but she still
She
hears an egg
still
and
loves
she's like,
eggs.
what is that? What is that, an egg you're cracking over there?
I know what that is.
Right. But also, like, we didn't even touch on the fact that, like, our management strategy alone also is, like, no dogs are allowed in the kitchen because, like, why would they be? You're not going to help me put dishes away or cook this food. So why are you even in the kitchen?
Yeah.
So we have, like, boundaries where the dogs, like, step to the edge of the counter and they don't go past it. Nala likes to lay right there in the middle of the walkway. But it's the boundary of like, nope, go. I'm a big fan of go. And I know that that's not like an official command, but it's a cue that dogs can understand, especially when you do the like mom hand wave of like, get back. And I always do the snap. I'm a snapper. But dogs can learn boundary lines.
Yeah.
And you just teach them where they're allowed to go and where they're not allowed to go. And then it's like, cool, we're not even going to step foot in the kitchen. We're not even allowed in the kitchen. I don't even know what's over there.
Yeah. I just didn't want to make it sound like we have such amazing dogs.
Right, we
that,
don't.
like,
Our dogs are awful some days.
Like we've never had to deal with any issues, right?
Oh yeah, for sure we have. And Dexter still like every now and then he'll jump up on a kennel to be like, is there something good up here? And it's like, no, off, right? And he's very good about like, oh, okay, here's no. And he's like, oh, sorry, okay. But he's opportunistic. He's still a little puppy, right? He's less than 2, getting close, but less than 2.
Very large.
And
very
right, and
large
he just
for a
like
puppy.
he doesn't even jump, right? He just steps up. It's like it's outrageous.
Very tall.
But we're paying attention to him,
Right.
and he's not just out of our sight doing whatever he wants. And so, yeah, we don't have perfect dogs. There are some days where I'm like, you know, there's somebody else that would like to have you. I would never. But we don't have easy dogs. And when you have 4, there's never moments at all times where you're like, man, these dogs are all so great. They
Right.
pick their days of like battles and violence.
There's good
and-
days and bad days.
Yeah, everybody has good days
100%.
and bad days. Today, they were all perfect angel babies. Perfect angels. No problem. We took hard naps on our place beds. I took a video of Dexter sleeping upside down.
Love that.
They did great. But he tested me at first when he didn't have a collar or leash or anything on and was like, "Oh, you got any accountability here? You going to tell me to go back?" But after one time of being like, "No, go back. I'm not playing around." He's like, "Okay, I'm just going to lay down."
Right. But results are not always typical.
Right.
Those results are not always typical.
Right. And sometimes
Some
it depends on the
days
time of day, right?
They
In the
get
morning,
up and they choose violence, and
Right.
they're like,
he
No, no.
chooses violence every morning at 7 a.m., if not a little bit before. But he's one of those dogs, like we knew the dog that we got, and we knew he wasn't going to be an easy dog. There's easy dogs and there's not easy dogs. And it really just depends on the type of dog that you have.
yeah,
But you have to be willing to figure out your dog and what works for them and what doesn't, because every dog is managed differently and every dog has a different strategy that works.
love that. All right, let's open it up for questions. So, if you have a question, now is your chance to ask it. Give you 10 seconds. All right, no questions. Moving on to listener projects. Pulling it up and go. Place during meal prep. So when you start working on a meal, you can start to reinforce this concept of guided like timelines in your house. So when you go, it is not impossible to train a dog that whenever you go into the kitchen and start working with food, that they go to their place bed, or they go into their crates, or they go in the other room, or whatever it is.
Right.
Dogs are pattern based. So teach them through that when you go into the kitchen, you start working with food, that they go to their place.
Right, because half of the people on this call and listening to the podcast afterwards, you didn't teach your dog that when you pick up the leash, you're going for a walk, but bet your dog doesn't get excited when you pick up a leash.
Yeah. Yep. So reward that calm holding on that place. So send your dog to place as soon as you start the food prep, and then reward them intermittently through those continuation markers. So we use yes and we use good as continuation markers. Continue to reward them intermittently as you're working through your food prep, and then release only after the food activities end. Listener project number 2, kitchen boundaries. So just like we can teach a dog to stay off of or out from in front of a door that we're going to then open, we can also teach the dog that that the kitchen is a boundary and that they don't enter it when you're, doing things in the kitchen. So you can keep the counters clear, and you can enforce a specific boundary, either putting a rug or a mat or a blanket or a towel or something down. And that is now the new line in the sand, so to speak, where, hey, you don't cross this line. And just hold them accountable calmly and without emotion, and teach them that, hey, this is the boundary. Yep. Supervise and manage that dog and their attention. Give them those other things to do. Go to your place, go to a crate, go chew on this bone over there in the living room, whatever it is, and reward that calm and disengagement from trying to get into the kitchen. All right. That's all I got for tonight.
Cool.
No questions at all. All right. That is all I've got for tonight. So we will close it out.
You got time for one more one question?
I sure do.
I wasn't sure how to ask it. I've been mulling it over while you did your a little extra bit there. So let me just word vomit it, and then you guys tell me how I
have you heard most of this podcast. That's what I've been doing. That's my strategy most of the day.
I can't find the words I dropped on the floor yet. Okay.
Right.
So here it goes. All right. You guys said earlier we don't have time to correct passe 3 times, and we put them in the crate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, who's got time for that, right?
Yep.
Do it. Don't do it. Okay. Punishment, right? I'm putting them in the crate for a punishment. Mm-hmm. But we're training the crate to be the safe space, the feeding space.
Yep.
Now we're using the crate as a punishment, or when we leave, hey, your dog that chews on something, I don't trust you. How do I reinforce punishment versus safe space?
I gotcha.
Right.
Remember,
how do I punish my dog without, I don't even know what the punishment is other than kicking it or...
Never.
I don't
want to punish my
I know,
dog.
I know you. I know you don't kick. I know you don't kick your dog.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I get it.
But what is a punishment versus like a reward if I'm using the same space as both?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let me so I was talking to Brianna about this actually earlier today, because I think that one way that I sometimes word this in my head versus the way that it comes across might have created some of this confusion.
Okay, so when you say that now, you know me, and you know how I like to try to overthink and dissect and think forward.
Yep.
am I doing that again instead of just thinking simple-minded that the dog is too stupid to know punishment versus reward? Because we know Cash is a smart dog,
Right.
but he's pushed every boundary we've put upon him trying to train him, and then some.
Yeah. So I think for me, I don't know what Ryan's answer will be, but for me, it comes down to your attitude when you're putting him in the crate. If you're not, so just like I know we had talked about off on the couch, right? And
Right.
if you just go silent and just guide him off the couch, there's a difference in conflict there between your attitude with the dog, right? If the dog
Okay.
gets something, or you're in the process of cooking dinner and they keep crossing the boundary, then you're not going to go, no, I told you not to go past that boundary and like correct the dog or anything, which when we talk about punishment, most of the time we either talk about correcting the dog in some way. Whatever way people do it is entirely up to them. We teach fair corrections with leashes and collars and things like that, but we don't correct the dog for it. We simply change the variable and the situation that we're putting the dog in, but without emotion or any type of really punishment involved. You're just changing the situation on them. And super neutrally. Like, it's like, hey, cool, go to your place. No place. No place. He breaks again, and it's like, cool, now I'm just going to silently guide you to your crate.
And so what I was going to include on that is that what we have done by feeding the dog in their crate and by giving them treats in their crate and things like that is that we have created a neutral space. It's not about it being a rewarded, fun place to hang out that the dog will always want to go. Mm-hmm. It's just about removing the negativity surrounding it so that it can be kind of a neutral zone. Mm-hmm. Then we can use that as, once again, a neutral type of stimulus. So dog won't listen, dog won't listen, dog won't listen. Well, okay, then let's go over here and we'll go to this space instead.
Yeah.
That is not the same as
you'll see a lot of people like grabbing them by the collar and like just tossing their dog
dragging
into
them
the
in
crate.
there or trying to like,
Right.
muscle them in and all of those
that's
things.
not going to work with Cash, right? He's treat motivated to get into that crate. So I'm struggling with the fact that I'm rewarding him to get into the crate versus
We can deal with this problem.
teaching him that it's a punishment for not following what we asked him to do.
I gotcha. Is Cash on a is he on a leash or a lead or anything while he's in this space where you may need to interact with him? Are we still using those?
No, right? We're not using the pinch collar 24/7, but I'm thinking that it might be something that needs to go longer.
It could, but ideally we can use leash pressure, turning that pressure on and off to kind of communicate with the dog, whether they're wearing a prong collar or a star mark collar or whatever kind of collar that they're wearing. We should still be able to use that leash pressure and guide the dog. That's the goal. And so if we're having an issue with that process, then that's a communication thing that we need to bolster up, regardless of whether we're using the treat, or like if he's only going in there for the treat, then I would say we've got a little more work that we can do, whether we're involved with the crate or not, if that makes sense.
It does, and I think that's something that maybe you and I need to work on next time you're here is to actually see the interaction between dinner time versus the treat to go in the crate and the free to come out of it.
Awesome. Yeah. So as we build more of that clear communication, we should see a decrease in that reliance on treats in order to get in and out of the crate. Mm-hmm. But I do see the confusion with what I was not trying to say was that, cool, then I'm going to reward the dog with a treat to go in their crate, like instead of going on their place. So I can see that confusion.
No, I don't know. I appreciate it. I just was, again, you know how my brain functions. So I instantly start thinking 27 steps ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. I love the interaction and I love the questions. I always prefer to talk through all the things. So thanks, Michael. Thanks for
No, we
jumping in there.
we appreciate you guys so much. It's been such a valuable resource. When we're almost there, we're just not quite. I'm drinking. We're having a glass of wine tonight.
Oh God!
Maybe two.
I got
maybe
it.
three.
Right, you guys have
You
a
guys are fun.
have a
though.
unique
Right.
unique household dynamic.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we will close out tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And I appreciate everybody for tuning in and jumping in the call tonight. And if you are listening, thanks for making it all the way to episode 22. So thank you and good night.
Good night.